Let's meeting to order. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. We'll start with the roll call. Ms. Klipowski.
Here.
Mr. Easterwood.
Here.
Ms. Souser.
Here.
Mr. Meyerholz.
Here.
Mr. Babcock.
Here.
Mr. Warner. Here. Everyone had a chance to review the agenda. Any change with the email? The minutes from the previous meetings. Everyone had a chance to review those. Any questions? Additions, corrections? If not, do we have a motion to mark as read?
So move. Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right, old business Prairie project proposal. So we'll open the floor to discussion, but the committee did, talk about the plan in their meeting and the document, the finalized document is in the folder. Someone from the committee wanted to speak to it, or if anyone outside the committee wanted to speak to it as well.
Was there any consideration on the petition? As far as dialogue on that?
I think that the petition addressed certain concerns that we've addressed.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, it was definitely spoken about.
I'm not on the committee, but I did a lot of research about it. I presented at the meeting that was there. There's a slideshow that all of you were emailed, telling all of the people that I spoke with, their roles and positions in the county, and their standpoint and view on whether or not it would be a good idea to perform the Prairie project. And the main consensus amongst all of them is that it's a pocket prairie. It's not going to attract coyotes. It's not going to provide them a place to live. It's actually going to be cheaper for us because we won't have to maintain it as much as we have to maintain grass, all of that fun stuff. Does anybody have any questions about the emails that I sent around? Anybody have any comments on the emails that I sent around?
I mean, regarding that, and plus I actually got a chance to talk with the director of Wood County Parks,
Personally?
Chris. And if there were any changes to like the documentation, that we have put together, I guess the only change that I would make is just specify that it is a pocket prairie. Because I think that infers like just the size and the scope of it.
Well, so it's only going to be the size that it is.
Right.
It's going to be, yeah.
Yeah, I mean, that's more of like a communication thing, I guess. But
I feel like a lot of the community's questions were covered in the meeting. Like the meeting minutes will cover a lot of the topics that came up about the petition, about regarding questions about donations. I don't know if you want to wait till after the minutes to go forward, or if you want the minutes read now.
I mean, we can definitely talk about anything that's relevant, and I know that that's probably some stuff straight from the minutes, so.
Right, like it's
that's-
just gonna be repetitive.
Yeah, that's fine.
I think some of the donations are gonna have to come in question them,
Like which donation
probably from K&K.
from K&K?
They're an approved vendor of ours that we pay, that we do provide work for.
Done the business in the village.
They've never donated any services before.
I mean, they definitely have.
Yeah.
And,
That doesn't mean it was legal.
well, and I don't think just because they're an approved vendor makes it illegal. That wasn't what I got from that communication. It's more, it's a project that the village is putting in place and initiating. And, donations can come, in from any source in good faith for that. Now, if it were, attached to like future work, then yeah, that's not allowed. And it's also,
I believe it's a matter of future work. I think it's a matter of they've done business in the village and that we've paid them and done things. And actually, there are times that we've given them business that we didn't bid it out. So that keeps them as what would be considered as somewhat a preferred vendor.
I don't know if that's what I took away from that discussion. What do you think?
So in the committee meeting, we did discuss, our,
I think that's it, right?
the meeting minutes.
Yeah.
We reached out to Paul Staff, our legal attorney, in the past about receiving donations, and he had sent us an email. So we went back, looked at that email, the advice he had given, and we reviewed the policy on receiving donations so that we are up to date, and know what our process and our policy what we should be following. And we are allowed as a village to receive donations. But there is advice. Let me just find my email and I can read the policy to you.
Section 5 down there on your.
There it is. All right. And here's the policy. All right. So it does talk about money from grants are not considered donations. Anything else being money, property, services are considered donations, because I had raised the question, is there a difference between a monetary donation and a donation of service, volunteer hours, or property? So according to our ordinance, there's no difference. All of them are considered a donation, excluding something we receive from a grant. Section 2 says the council may accept unrestricted monetary donations to the village. Such donations may be expended or used for any municipal purpose. Section 3, subject to paragraph 5, we'll get there. The council may accept restricted donations, provided that the council by majority vote of its members confirms the restricted use conforms and is consistent with its policies, plans, and goals of the village. Subject to paragraph 5, the village council may accept donations of personal or real property services, provided the council by majority vote confirms the donation of personal or real property services. And then we get to section 5. No donation, regardless of form, shall be accepted if such donation contains an explicit or implicit quid pro quo. If the donor or any of the donor's affiliated persons or entities has an interest in public contract with the Village of Weston, or if the donor or any of the donor's affiliated persons, entities has pending before council a competitive bid for goods or services, or the donors, entities have pending before the village or any administrative body an application, permit, request, or appeal, or if any village council member is an immediate family member of the person giving the donation, then those are all violations. So if they have a contract pending, if they are a member, family member of a council member, if they do work with us, then it was also an email from the lawyer that we should consider not accepting that just because of potential conflict of interest. And then the village fiscal officer shall maintain records for the receipt of the donations and shall comply with all reporting requirements, rules of the village. So what we found in reading that policy is that, and getting advice from legal, we should be receiving in writing from those who want to donate what they would like to donate and whether it is a restricted donation or an unrestricted donation. So what does that mean? Are they giving us, we're giving these benches for this particular project, or we're just giving these benches in general, unrestricted use. We're giving this money unrestricted use, or we want it to be used specifically for a certain project. So they have to list whether it's restricted or unrestricted, what they're giving. That comes to council and council votes. So all donations have to be approved by a council vote to go through. That's our current policy. So that was in the notes, but that's the policy.
So certainly even K and K would have to come before the council. That request, I suppose.
But according to what I'm looking at, council would not have the right to approve it with the fact that they've done business with the village.
Do they have an open bid with the village right now?
It doesn't matter.
It
It's
says
whether-
that in section 5, that's what it says.
I'm going by what the attorney has stated, not what our policy states.
It definitely has to come for vote. I would say it depends what they're giving. If they're giving money, me personally, I'd consider that different than if they're giving a bench or something.
Well, this is services.
It looks like it says they're donating fencing supplies, less than $100.
Well, then that comes before vote, so. There's 6 of us to figure that out. But they have donated for the Weston Sports Initiative Board to have their sign, just like every other business gets a sign out there. They've been really good to the community. But I see what you're saying. We need to
It's
look
just
at
that
that conflict of
They're
interest.
supposed to, according to even the policy, they're supposed to submit it in writing.
Right,
Yeah.
yeah, absolutely.
We're missing, and that's the step we're missing. And that's why I wanted to look at the policy. Me being newer to council, I just wanted to make sure I wasn't uninformed. But also share that information with everybody else. So that's where we're at with that. And I don't know how many donations. I know there were a lot of people that offered donations, but I don't know how many of them we have in writing to approve or disapprove.
Well, I mean, it's kind of like the chicken before the egg type of thing, you know, we have to have like the plan approved for, you know, the Henry Wood Sports Lions to kind of pull trigger on that. And so, you know, that's kind of where we sit with them. Now, as far as I know, the offer is still on the table from the grain elevator and K&K. So the grain elevator for chemicals, and K&K for some fencing supplies for Harold to use.
According to policy, everybody should submit their donations in writing so that council can approve.
Right. Yeah, and we can totally see that through.
Does the proposal currently give us costs without the donation? I know originally it did, but they were debated.
Under required resources, it has amount, but the total.
It's less than $100 worth of chemicals. It's about $350 or $400 worth of fencing supplies if you were to buy it brand new. And then the only other donation is the seed, I suppose.
Yeah, well, that'd have to be, if that came from a private party, how would that fall under the same category as well? Okay.
It's basically just a vetting process to make sure they're not family, they're not. But again, it goes to vote, so.
Okay.
Um,
Some of them may come from me, or maybe it shouldn't.
Right.
I can't.
I know one of the questions that we talked about in committee that came up about donations in our last council meeting came from Ron Dallas. About a donation that he had offered in the past. And with that, at that time, it was about recording our videos. So we had advice from the attorney at that time, originally not to record, and we had chosen as a council not to record. And then he said, well, I'll buy the equipment because he wanted us to record. So in that example, or just in any example like that, that would be going against our vote. So what we vote on the proposal, I see what you're saying about cart before horse, what we vote on the proposal, if we say no, we're not gonna do the prairie, then there's no need to, we wouldn't accept donations going against our vote. But if we say yes to the prairie, then we would bring in donations going for the direction we're going. And that is in the policy. Does it go against our goals as a village? Or go against our votes?
That's reminding.
Sorry.
So that's where we're at with the donation.
Yeah, so certainly all those people who have offered to donate, we can, of course, follow that policy. I think there's maybe still some conversation to have about the policy. I mean, does it, if someone gives, $10 to Parks and Rec, how does that work? For instance, but in general,
Just as an example, what
Yeah.
I can tell you is at school board meetings, anybody that donates to the school, the board has to approve those donations as they come in.
okay,
And it doesn't matter how small or how large they are,
all right,
but that's school board.
yes,
So it's my belief that all donations that have to be approved should be approved by council. I think it would be important also to read the fact of what our legal counsel told us about written petitions also. Since there has been question after question after question concerning petitions.
do you want to read it?
A written petition is presented to council. It should be provided to all members and the mayor and taken into consideration or taken under advisement. No formal process is required. It need not be in writing, and there is not a minimum signature requirement. All community members have the right to petition their elected officials, and elected officials have the right to consider or ignore those petitions. The community's remedy, if they feel that elected officials are not acting in the best interest of the village, is to vote them out of office. What it seems some community members may think of petitions is that they are referendum. Referendum is completely different and formal procedure governed by Ohio law, which referendum means you have to put
Right.
a ballot. But
Okay,
I don't think people see petitions as a referendum, quite honestly.
okay. All right, yeah, and that last petition that came in, we did learn from the first one. We took it in, of course, we all looked at it, but then, Stephanie also, we had it scanned and sent to all the council members. So yeah, I mean, I
Well, there was a
think that's good
lot
advice.
of back and forth about whether it's legal and whoever. and
Sure, yeah, it's good
As I
info.
said, it's a freedom of speech activity. And that's necessary for people to know and for the rest of council to understand.
Sure.
What I took out of that was also that the Facebook petition that was done was also allowed. But we don't have a copy of that. So
Well, it also stated in here that,
wanted to present it.
those are not always the best way to do because they can be manipulated.
For the email.
That document that has all the,
It doesn't have the questions on it. It does have all the names.
Just the names.
Okay,
You're
I,
asking for
that's fair.
But he also states that manipulation is possible.
yeah, I would agree. I would take that as it's possible with any petition done by.
It has signatures. It has signatures and addresses.
Right,
Written
not that,
petitions.
not that part as much, but like misinformation. You can manipulate people with misinformation. I think, and that's just my opinion. I think petitions in general, I think it can go both ways. Like you can't say this one thing can be manipulated and not these other. I think across the board, it can be a manipulated process. Hi.
Take a small break to address the deputy.
Sorry for interrupting.
Oh, no, you're fine.
You guys need this or do they get it?
Anything for council?
I don't have anything. Is everything going all right?
Yes, we need somebody to watch the walking path now for golf carts,
Oh, yeah.
even though we don't have an ordinance. I don't know that there are signs down there yet, are there?
It does say not to, yeah, there is a sign.
There is.
No motorized.
There would be an ordinance in the fact that they can't go on the road. They have to get there somehow.
If you see that, discourage that, we're working on making it more formal.
There's quite a lot of golf carts going around or
They're racing on
golf carts. Racing?
the.
Really?
It makes a nice Grand Prix track.
If they want to be helpful, they could touch base with Harold and maybe they could help pack it down, but it wouldn't be a racetrack. It'd be more of like a slow roll. So there's that opportunity.
I think the other item on the golf cart thing is, I did see a group on it, but the one driving was probably only about 12 years old. Yeah.
Right.
So that's the other issue.
Right. Right. I'll pass the word out. Yep.
Sounds like a party pooper scenario. All right, appreciate it.
Yep.
Thank you.
You guys have a good one.
Me too.
Just don't have to put speed bumps out there.
Oh. No,
That's funny.
okay.
We have speed bumps at our campground. Too fast.
All right, so, back to discussion on the Prairie Project proposal. So,
Most of the research that I performed and the questions that I asked the specialists and the professionals that I asked were a direct result from that petition. I literally asked what was on the petition and how it would affect the prairie. That was their responses. So please look over the information that I sent you, because we did address every single concern that citizens had. And I'm showing the science behind why those concerns don't need to be there. They should not be concerned about what they're concerned about.
Well, I don't think you can tell people what they should be concerned about, number one.
If I
The petition was presented
and if I
as
showed
their
some-
concerns.
a scientific fact and they choose to ignore the science behind it, that is telling me something about them.
Yeah, well, Karen Menard from Metro, I've been working with
Toledo
her
Metro Parks.
more than a dozen years. In fact, I've got 2 projects going with her right now. And yeah, highly qualified, they don't, yeah, that's a big organization. Everybody gets fact checked and, there's enough professionals around and I don't think I've ever gotten any bad information out of any of the people at any level in that organization. They say something, it's because there's research. It's the best knowledge that anybody has at the moment. That's where they're at.
Rick, anything?
No, are we gonna take a vote on it or we gonna wait till the vote after you get the proposal for the donations or?
Well, I think, this isn't like an ordinance, so I think what we're looking for is a vote to proceed with the project. As laid out, the project does say that it's going to get some donations, and obviously those are subject to also council approval. And if there's any changes between, then or between now and then, that's also subject to kind of council approval. And so, someone could put a motion up to move forward with the project, or they could put a motion up to not move forward with the project. I mean, however, one would want to word it.
I'd like to put a motion together to go ahead with it.
Okay. So we have a first and a second. All in favor?
I prefer a roll call vote.
Okay. Ms. Klokowski,
Yes.
Mr. Easterwood,
No,
Ms. Susser,
Yes.
Mr. Meyerholtz,
No.
Mr. Babcock,
Yes.
Mr. Warner.
Yes.
All right, 4-2.
So I can need like medical assistance or
Motion.
Not worried about it.
For that.
I'm just,
So, okay, so
that's bullshit. I don't know.
do you mind muting?
I'll find somebody. I'll tell Jigger to call for me. He'll do it for me. I'll have him do it because then they'll be like, "What the fuck? Where's Jigger been
Could just
gone?"
let it go and get the tea.
Brian, this mouse is.
Doc, your mic is on, just for the record, we muted you for a minute. Okay, so next order of old business, storm damage to the old bus garage insurance update. Someone provide an update.
Verbal with, insurance company, or not the insurance company, but the guys that came out and looked at it. And they said a rough estimate is going to be 36,000 to replace the roof. And they will have an exact number as soon as we give them the okay to move forward with the project.
Okay,
that's not really how it works.
Well, I think
It's called an estimate, then
Yeah.
we probably have to send it up for bid.
Well, it's an estimate. They were saying 36,000, but then the guy was telling me that the adjusters would both go out there, meet, agree upon everything that needs to be fixed, and then go from there. Is what they were telling me. So
okay. I know some discussion about this came up in one of our committee meetings. And so we might talk about it further then, but what was the gist of that discussion? It was unclear if PEP was going to provide an adjuster.
no,
Can you tell us about that?
I talked to them. They said that they would provide us with provide their adjuster is waiting for our adjuster to contact them.
So it's like adjuster to adjuster.
Yeah. Is how it plays out. So, the company that I contacted, they said that it would be around 36,000. So the only thing we can do is if we decide not to use them, then we'll just, contact a couple more people and get other estimates if that's what you all want to do.
I think that's the way to go, is have at least 3 estimates from different, vendors. Just because.
The company looking to pay for it?
Yeah,
Well,
yeah. So
I think the adjuster would require the estimates too, on behalf of their part. and knowing what.
I know when I
Right.
brought it up, when I asked if we should move forward on that, because I didn't know where we were gonna be at on our premiums. Is it gonna be worth, to justify making a claim on it, to
Yeah.
fix it versus, but, that's the kind of things we were looking to get from the public works standpoint was what's gonna cost us in the long run, because when they presented everything, all that kind of stuff just says, oh, no big deal, it goes through a pool, everything is great, but now we have a building with no roof on it that we can't use.
Right, and we do have,
And we do have our risk loss control person coming out tomorrow
yeah,
for our annual visit.
Don't just say this is a pretty little building.
Well, they go and look, they got our list of buildings, so there's no avoiding it, but,
yeah.
I kind of want to go on that a little bit. I think I brought it up in administrative process. It seemed like a confusing process because we do have a plan with PEP. Why would we have to pay for an additional adjuster when PEP should be providing that to us as part of our insurance? That's where have been confused in the,
Did anybody talk to the agent yet?
Harold's been working with.
Yeah, and I talked to two separate ones over there, and the lady, the last one I talked to last week, she said that she would be having PEP's adjuster contact me, send me an email, and I haven't received anything yet as of today, so I will be in contact with her again and I'll back over there and find out.
Okay. Well, and like, like was noted, there's obviously a conversation that can happen with the risk assessment guy too.
Do we know how much it would cost to fix? Like if we're putting on a new roof, do we know how much it would cost to repair the bricks? The brickwork that needs done on the walls, and do we know how much it would cost to tear down the building if we decide to not go with it?
Probably, I've been trying to get him out here. I tried calling his son, but apparently I got the wrong number. So, I will have that information before Public Works meeting, which is what, next week? I will have that before Public Works meeting.
I think the last time we talked to him, it was something like 15,000.
That was for replacing replacing the corners.
Right.
Cleaning all the grout, redoing all the grout, the whole thing. Filling the windows in and painting it.
Yeah, that didn't count fixing the lintels over the doors though, did it?
Yeah, that
It did
included,
include the lintel.
that included everything.
That quote it might be in the public works binder. It's in this building somewhere.
I know, we talked about it.
Okay. Awesome. Well, we'll make some headway in public works. All right, we have some ordinances. First up, we have a final reading of ordinance 24-18. This is an ordinance enacting and adopting supplement to the Code of Ordinances of the Village of Weston. And just noting once again that this submits to American Legal Publishing our latest municipal code updates. Any further discussion on that? We have a motion for approval. A second.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed? All right, and we also have ordinance 2024-19. This is an ordinance repealing ordinance 28-05 and establishing cemetery rules, regulations, and restrictions. And so this is updating the cemetery rules in our municipal code. Any further discussion?
Make a motion to.
Okay, Rick has a motion to approve.
Second.
A second, all in favor? Any opposed? And final reading of 2024-17, submitting votes to fill a vacant board seat on the Northwest Water and Sewer District. This is for Mark.
I'm up.
Second, all in favor? Any opposed? All right. I have nothing to report on top of all of our other reports. Stephanie, anything?
The other stuff is just part of the other two emergency readings, and then also our audit is complete. I put a digital copy in the folder, but they usually mail us the hard copies as well. And then we also received an outstanding achievement award in open and transparent government, 3 out of 4 stars.
Yeah, put that on the record. Harold for council.
It was just, I was gonna report on that, but we already talked about it, so.
Okay. Ken?
It's no one permit been just issued since previous report on the 4th of September. Signed a permit for an addition to the garage on High Street. 9th of September, message Council Leeds property on Walnut Street. Burn did not meet qualifications of ordinance 2320 because it pertains only to fences and accessory structures. That does not, I have this in here, but it does not preclude us from declaring it a nuisance property if that's what our desire is going to be. We can always do that. September 10th, I sent Stephanie a note of weeds in to the west of the alley, west of Maple Street. There's 2 lots owned by the same property owners. At the time, this was the second notice that I gave to Stephanie for the weeds out there. And on 16th, i.e. today, I sent the latest pictures of the nuisance property on Maple Street to Paul for his. He's got communication. Keeps getting promised, but I don't know where it's going. I'm just cameraman.
Okay, I know Rick had put in an email about Walnut Street.
It's the same address.
Oh, did I miss that one? Okay.
No, he wanted to put a structure on it too, but there's no livable house. So I don't know if we want to move this one up ahead so Ken can leave to go to this other meeting, but that's okay.
Yeah, I think.
I emailed council for the fact is to try to get the ball rolling on a decision on what we need to do to the house that was affected by the fire. I know me personally, I was at the fire. I was very compassionate to the gentleman's and I think, I think they're running through a rough patch. So we actually kind of slowed the roll a little bit. Unfortunately, there's little progress, but I'm sure that they're financially strapped or whatever else. But like I confronted Ken at another meeting, we crossed paths to figure out if there's anything in play and what the process would be to do that, start this process, because before we know it, winter's going to be at our door, and I don't want it to come crashing down because of snow load. I don't want it to become a nuisance any more than anybody else does, but I feel we have to do something about it. So whatever that policy is, Stephanie gave us an ordinance that we had. It's 2008-11. I tried looking under the drive. I couldn't find it, and this was basically just on insurance portions of it. We needed to do something via insurance before the claim. I think it's unfortunate I don't think they had insurance, or maybe not enough to cover the damages. But there's a bunch of legal provisions in this ordinance that I think that we would have to talk to Paul about reviewing this to find out the legal portion of what we can do about it, because my fear is it's going to end up like the vacant property we had over here in the downtown, where we upfront the cost, assess the taxes, goes up for sheriff's sale, buy it back or not. I don't know. I don't want this guy to lose his property no more than anybody else does, but at the same token, we have to we have to get it taken care of, so.
I know, I talked to you. Have you talked to Kent about it?
I talked to Kent, he called me, or I called him,
Hmm.
and he was talking to Steve DeWalt. Possibly, Steve had an idea, maybe put like a tiny house and add it on to the existing house. Well, I'm no expert, but I don't know that there's anything left in that house that's attachable.
Yeah,
And a tiny house, they have to have your square footage of 550 for one bedroom or 650 for two bedroom. That would be doable, but that house still has to come down. He said that he was working with Steve. I said, give me a drawing of what you want to do. And so far, yeah, that was a week and a half ago. I haven't heard anything back. So short of talking, I don't know who declares the property unlivable, probably, well, the health department probably is our route to go.
I'm sure the health department, the county engineer.
And then, going through the nuisance route.
so you don't think there's like any like letter process in our,
Declaring it a nuisance, we can do that. And that opens the door to letters and windows of time.
does like our junk and
Our ordinance on buildings and accessory buildings and fences, which is only accessory buildings and fences, would give him I believe, a 17 or 21 day window after the first letter, a 17 or 21 day window after the second letter,
right?
and then another 14-day window to do something. But if he doesn't, I suppose there's always the fine aspect of it to go after.
I just wonder if, making the process kind of official, like moving forward, because I've obviously discussed it with his neighbor, and then obviously, I passed them along to you at a certain point.
Well, but in making something a nuisance property, it comes after conversations that we've had. Now, I take it, maybe wrong, I haven't talked to Paul about this, but I've had conversations with him, that is as good as a letter
Okay.
in my eyes. I could be dead wrong, but in my eyes, it's as good as a letter. And
So
the next step is.
to do the nuisance, let Paul kind of
Right.
take the wheel from there.
That's what
I think we should. have
Can
a
I say
conversation with
something for a second on that situation? Like, he's on disability. Like, he doesn't make very much money. He's currently living with his daughter.
Yeah.
He does not have insurance. So you piling on all this stuff is just going to stress him out. And the guy's already practically, like, he's not well.
And
I mean, anyone that talks to him, I talk to him when he comes to the market. He is literally in his car 90% of the time trying to figure out his life. So you piling on all this stuff as this guy is dying is not okay, with me at least.
Set up so fast this time now.
Yeah.
Still not going?
No,
You're
in.
Well, I think that's the laptop microphone, maybe.
Are we back on? Can you hear us? Usually it is white line, doesn't it?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Let me check the, what the,
There we are.
Can you hear us?
After he's gone now.
You go.
Ron or?
that's weird.
Or Josh, can you hear us?
We can hear you.
Okay,
Okay.
sorry about that. Looks like we had some technical difficulties. And so that silence was just us trying to figure it out, so. So yeah, I mean, you know, we obviously have, you know, been in communication with him, you know, that's what we ask, right? You know, he has been in communication with us. We do have a process though. And so I guess what Ken is saying is, you know, the next part of that process is, you know, declaring a nuisance and that just lets our legal, you know, work with them and figure it out that way. You know, because I mean, yes, at the end of the day, you know, we need to make sure that that structure is.
Last time I drove by,
Yeah.
I believe there's inoperable vehicles still sitting there too.
There was insurance obligations for those. I get it. I get it. I mean, my point is that we've gave them a time and because when I had talked to him, we had discussed about trying to get particular help from different agencies to help along with the thing. And this is nothing personal. It's just, we also have a liability for the village that we have to address. I mean, there's nothing personal about this. We gave them, it's been 3 months. And then my question with Ken was, if we were to start the process now, is his process every 2 weeks, every 1 week, however many times?
Sounds like he has almost 4 months.
So it sound like a very.
I mean, this right here is just initially to start the process officially to help him to make it look like we are actually doing something, I guess.
Well, I mean, you know, I did tell Ken, you know, that there is a process at the end of the day and you know, that, you know, everyone understands, you know, the predicament that he's in. And, you know, I don't think he, you know, isn't expecting that. If we make it a nuisance though, I mean, that completely takes it off Ken's plate. You know, it would just be on Paul's plate at that point, correct?
I think so.
Yeah.
And possibly the county.
Actually, it's back on if you wanted to address her. And then if you had something else to address her when we lost audio.
Nothing except Ashley, if you wanted to talk about some of that further, that we could do it at the end.
That's fine. Thank you.
I mean, so, you know, that process is also like a drawn out process because, you know, it's literally like negotiation back and forth, right? I do think, you know, I can talk with Ken a little bit further. I think we can give him a heads up. You know, I don't think it has to be like a surprise, you know, letter in the mail or whatever. We can definitely let him know that, hey, the process is moving forward and, you know, here's your new channel of communication, I guess.
I'd be interested in, I don't know, maybe this is just a matter of emails. Like they said, the health department, county engineer, I would think there's something already on file somewhere that stipulates what is considered unsafe and safe as far as a property, but I'm wondering, I've walked by and I see that it's completely open. It's not boarded. It's not, and I know there's a time for insurance adjusting, but we should be past that. But I'm wondering if there's something that they couldn't do to make it safe for the community that would keep the animals out, keep people out, from kids from getting in there and getting hurt, especially the longer it sits in the winter. I'd be interested in hearing from the county engineer or the health department. Or having.
I would think it'd
reach out
be
to
the
them.
building inspector more than anything.
Well, and I guess that is something that we could have, Ken
Look into.
look into. If you wanted to do that first and then, we could readdress next meeting.
So could we do that? Could we look into that first? Could we also give the owner a heads up that
Yeah.
it's probably gonna happen?
Right.
Come back and revisit this next meeting.
Yeah. Because again, that process, is not
4 months from what Ken was saying.
right. Yeah. It's not like a definite, like, fine. It's literally the next step, in remedying.
And by doing a process of an official process, this probably can ensure him a better avenue of getting funds via a organization. So, I mean, I hate to say it, but I think that's just the way it has to happen.
Well, and from what I understand is he has a couple different ideas on the table. And so, they just need to get all hands on deck. And
So I think our conversation needs to be with Paul or legal to find the appropriate way to go about this and have Ken do his research to start the process.
okay. All right. So yeah, let's make sure that we have communication with those places that you identified. You want to list them off again?
We've got the building inspector, county engineer, and the health department, as well as reaching out to Paul for
Yeah.
appropriate measures as far as communication.
Yep. All right. And that was my request to Ken as well. It's like, hey, let's get the official paper process started. So. But yeah, still, I mean, I don't think it takes the ability, for the homeowner to communicate with us off the table. So that's what. Okay, couple committee reports. We had cemetery from the 5th.
Oh.
Sorry.
Just the reason I was thinking.
I have it kind of.
All right, here are my notes. In attendance, Jody Donemer, Diane Hilliard, Don Blandy, Robin Kaiser, Tom Patton, Harold Boggs, Jessica Susser, and Jeremy Schroeder. The Sexton report, 8 foundations to pour from the spring yet, 5 are dug, and Harold has the remainder on his agenda for after the recent storm cleanup. Harold agreed to have the spring pours finalized by September 20th, 2024. Due to late pouring of foundations, there will not be a fall pour of 2024. We received an updated quote from Ag Pro to fix the pole saw, and we fixed a weed whip. Board voted to approve and repair the pole saw. Storm damage is planned to be started Monday the 9th in conjunction with MCM. And the board agreed to block the road and entrance at A extension due to dangerous limbs until Rowe was contacted and able to give quotes for removal of those limbs, which will be approved by or voted to be approved or denied by the Board of Trustees. Council discussed email options for official council communications and the 2025 budget wish list due date. Robin reviewed the Lantern Tour updates and logistics. The date has been moved to 4 p.m. October 26th, meaning that the Lantern Tour will be held prior to the Monster Mash event and Trick or Treat. Discussed seasonal workers and decided to decrease the worker pool to 1 mower for the remainder of the season, which will conclude the end of the season will conclude the end of October or the 1st of November. Requesting updated cemetery appropriation report to be utilized. They're requesting from you, Stephanie. a cemetery appropriation list so that they can use it to make their 2025 budget wish list decisions. And Jody will be getting quotes for a new computer that the board discussed. Next meeting will be October 3rd, 2024. Thank you.
All right, we also had an administrative process meeting on the 9th.
In attendance for myself, Dean, Jessica, Brittany, the mayor, and Stephanie. We discussed the purchase policy threshold, which is $10,000 for all departments. We recommended to review with insurance update bonds and better reporting to council on project purchasing. We discussed the 2025 budget and the draft appropriations that Stephanie prepared. Focusing on the general fund, including a possible increase in sheriff protections. Definitely had that out anywhere between 10 to 15%. That's kind of where it's been the last couple of years. Also considering part-time seasonal help for the administrator and the 75,000 for streets that Public Works has asked for. We'll do a final review at the October meeting before beginning 3 readings, and all departments need to submit their wish list budget requests by this meeting. Public Works had requested to look into the amount available for streetlight projects, which is $21,000. Does that also include, would that amount also include the amount to pay for the electricity, or is that?
I took that out already. So that is just what you have.
It's 21,000 to add new
In excess.
Yeah.
Okay, and so we will discuss that at Public Works next week. And then actionable items. First is Department of Labor salary, the January threshold, the hours that Stephanie works indicate that she wouldn't meet the January threshold set by Department of Labor. However, since that threshold won't be met, it would be necessary to change the status from an exempt salary to non-exempt salary in the job description section of the handbook. So we're asking for a council vote on that. Vote on that?
I think we were gonna draft up the changes.
Oh,
Yeah,
I haven't done that yet.
They're already they're in the folder.
Oh, are they?
Yeah.
Okay.
It would be on page 27 and the changes are highlighted, which includes the change that the date of today of possibly approving it. And then what was changed
And that's in
on
the
that
policy
page
manual.
in the employee handbook, because that's where the job description is. And where it was listed as, the status.
So before that, I think we also have to the recommendation is for council not to raise the fiscal officer's salary to the next threshold because of that. So
Okay, so yeah, and maybe there's still a little bit to discuss there, but yeah, so one thing on the table is to update the handbook, and it's really simple. It's on page 27.
And you have to vote to do something before you update.
Yeah, so this is the proposed change. So if everybody's good with that change. you
highlighted
vote
in
for it.
I guess this would also be voting to make her non-exempt salary.
we just include it into one motion.
Not meeting the,
January
meeting to the
threshold.
January threshold.
Okay,
Just to be clear, that means that if she does go over her hours, she gets paid overtime. That's the difference.
did we finalize like how, will you still clock in,
She's gotta keep track of her hours.
right? Okay,
And she's
I remember where we left off on that.
based on hourly.
Yeah, I had said that I didn't like the idea of counting hours, but it was a necessary thing
Okay.
that had to be done.
So I think what the consensus is, we got to shorten our council meeting so we can give her some more time to work in the office.
Outright.
Throwing it out there.
No special meetings yet.
Okay, so do we have a motion to move fiscal officer to non-exempt salary and make the appropriate changes in the handbook?
So moved.
Second.
All in favor? Any opposed?
I do have a question. Who brought up the fact of increasing the sheriff's department hours?
Me.
Yeah.
It's just every year they.
No, we're not increasing the hours.
No.
That's the way I
no.
read.
I'm sorry.
No, it was the,
I'm thinking,
My bad.
it was
Oh.
the,
well, I'm just
to
saying. I had to
appropriate the
clarify.
budget for it. Cause it seems like every year their range of the increase.
I understand what you're
Between 8
saying
and
now, but
15.
that's not what was conveyed.
Yeah, it was for the appropriations, not the hours.
Okay, I could have worded that better.
Okay. Do you have anything else?
We reviewed the background check policy draft that has been updated, which was combining the previous acknowledgement document provided by all staff with an old version of the background check guidelines. And we need to approve the updated background check policy.
Okay. That one's a doozy.
I know.
Is that a reading, like a 3 reading or?
Oh, it's a policy, so just.
Oh, just
Has everyone seen that? It very much, just to take you back, it's based on Wood Lane. Where's Mr. Kendall's wife work? Wood Lane, I think.
Yeah.
Okay, so it's based on Wood Lane's policy, but it very much like spells out offenses and how much time, needs to pass before you're eligible for hire. And so it spells out, the whole array. So it's very explicit on what is acceptable and what is not acceptable. And then the rest of it is just kind of addressing some of the other things that have come up, such as hiring someone and the wait period, and whether public officials need to be background checked, things like that. So is everyone comfortable voting on this, or?
Do you want to wait till the next?
This is the copy of the background check policy draft that's in the, right?
Yeah.
I'd prefer to read it over.
Okay.
And this is,
That's fair.
it was a combination, right, of something we already had on.
There's a previous one that we had.
Yeah. So let's put this on old business. To pass the background check policy.
For next council meeting.
Yeah. Since it's already gone to committee. Okay. Okay. Community development and public affairs from the 10th.
In attendance, Jessica Craig, the mayor, myself, attendants were Brittany and Rob. Committee had discussion and review of the Prairie Project proposal. Brittany presented correspondence from the restoration specialty from Wood County Parks, as well as monitoring research director from Toledo Metro Parks, and a corresponding PowerPoint. Thank you. Pertaining to pocket prairies in general, and specifically to the minimal effect of the proposed site pertaining to the long-established coyote presence in and around the village. We also reviewed the village donation policy as it pertains to the project. Discussed community feedback and the support shown for the project on the Parks and Rec Facebook poll. Committee also reviewed the vehicles on parkland draft. We had a short discussion on the zoning code pertaining to accessory dwelling units and the inclusion of tiny homes in the code. Committee desires more clarification and recommendation from our code enforcement officer. And let's see, a proposal to have a volunteer appreciation event was accepted and will be pursued. I think that's kind of fallen in Stephanie's lap, according to my notes. And the actual item was to bring the project to a vote.
Okay, which we did. Parks and Rec reporting from the 11th.
Okay, in attendance, Samantha, Christine, Shelby, Shannon, who's not a member, Brittany, and yes, Brittany, the mayor, and myself. Christine Long was voted in as secretary. Stephanie's resignation was accepted by the board. Again, village donation policy was reviewed for clarification by the board. There was a very long discussion on the upcoming plans for the Fall Fest in Weston, which will be October 19th, 4 to 7, in detail. 4-page thing. I just have to say corn pit. It's going to be awesome. And the board approved a budget of $2,200 for the event. Well, future action plan was going to be road closures. We're going to deal with that when the time is more appropriate.
Yeah, they do have a map, but we can make sure that's on next council.
Parks and Rec have a full board. They've had two resignations.
Yeah, they're down 2 right now.
Okay.
I think they have an idea for 1,
That's true.
but yeah, they're working on that. Okay, upcoming meetings, we have a special ball committee meeting on the 17th at 6 tomorrow. We have a planning commission variance hearing on the 18th at 6. Safety meeting on the 23rd at 6, and Public Works on the 24th at 6. Couple new business items. We have a resolution 2024-16.
I can read on that a little bit while you find it.
Okay.
This went out earlier last week, and then the sheriff called to discuss. This is a 911 final plan documents. While I had him on the phone, I asked him about, so in the folder should have gone around the packet that had all that information in there. I asked him about, there's a vacant seat, and I know when it came around before, Rick had expressed interest, but they didn't have like anything in place on how that process went. So I asked about it, and it's kind of similar to how the water district does theirs, except if you are actually really interested, you're going to have to go to the majority of all the Wood County municipalities and express your interest, and then they have to pass a resolution saying, yay, we vote for so-and-so, and then they submit it to the county.
Does he have any delegates or anybody that's been?
No, he said it's a lot harder for the municipalities because they no longer have a mayor's association in Wood County. The township did it real easy because they have a township association, and they had a liaison that did that. Municipalities don't have that benefit apparently.
Wonder, though, if he's not there, it'd only take one entity to put him on the board.
It'd take a majority of them. I think he said it was like,
I don't quite understand that.
yeah,
It's a vote.
yeah, but
There's only one running and one.
yeah, it's gotta be just like with the Northwest Water, it can't just be one municipality. It's gotta be a majority of them that vote for that same person. It's a weird process. Yep.
Because since nobody's applied or whatever for it, that's kind of strange that.
Yeah, I think it's just because the process, I don't know if it just seems confusing, or that there's not a
Is this a paid position?
No, it's just a board. Trying to turn the page so I don't know why this mouse isn't working today.
The township brought this up at their meeting, and I says, and my name wasn't on it. I'm like, maybe I didn't qualify until this happened. So, yeah, I don't know. I mean, I don't.
If you wanted to, or if other municipalities, not that they're
By
listening or
passing
anything.
this, though, then you're giving.
No, so what we are passing is
the approval of the final plan.
the final plan. So that's to operate
That
and
doesn't give
implement.
up our right for representation.
No, they still have a board,
Okay.
of other, like a township, the sheriff,
Well, let's take that up at safety meeting then, since we have.
Okay.
but yeah, so what the resolution that's on is for us to approve or disapprove this final plan.
In the meantime, I'll try and get a hold of Sheriff Vassilian and just,
Yeah, he'll be able to. We actually, so since we received this last week, we have 60 days to pass the resolution. So we could
Oh.
wait out another meeting if you wanted to ask him
That might
questions
be-
more about it.
that might be.
The
That's a lot
committee
to read.
itself isn't that, it doesn't seem, because they do have a full committee minus one
Yes.
person.
Okay.
That was part of the state requirement, was to have a committee, and then this final plan has to be put in place so that they
That's
can
my-
request funding.
My question is they have to have a municipal representative in order to make it legal. That's why I'm asking the question. So
Yeah.
That's why I want to call him
Yeah,
and
just,
find out.
All right, so we'll call this reading number 1 of resolution 2024-16. This is a resolution to approve the Wood County final plan for implementing and operating countywide 911 system. And we'll just say it's our intent to pass as an emergency next council meeting.
yeah, that'll give you some more time to, I mean, in that packet, it confused me a little bit what exactly the plan is, because it just listed different departments and their contact information. So I don't know if there's a longer plan or if that's all that they
Or-
needed.
I
Are
mean,
you still interested in it, Rick?
Yeah, I think I can make it work.
Okay, I'll talk to him.
I guess in the meantime, though, if there's anything you can pass on about that, like to the other council members and myself, quite frankly.
Well, if I can find out.
Yeah.
But.
But even
We'll be
Rick,
doing it at safety meeting anyway. So.
Rick, you're a little more knowledgeable about this, right?
Yeah, I know how to dial 911. That's about all the knowledge I got. I mean, besides the fact of,
I thought you looked
communication,
into it, right?
on communication portions of it through the fire service. Yeah. So.
Okay. Well, because we're looking for,
I think it'd do us
Guidance.
both good for the township and the village if we were able to have it represented.
oh, for sure. Yeah. I mean, that sounds like an endeavor.
Yeah.
Okay. We also have, resolution 2024-18.
I can read on this a little bit too. So MediCount, which is our EMS billing company, sent us information about Medicaid ambulance supplemental payment program. This program would provide additional reimbursement to eligible ambulance providers for the gap between what Medicaid pays and the actual cost of providing ambulance services. The funding is not guaranteed. The process involves collaboration to prepare the necessary documents. So MediCount sent me a presentation from the public consulting group who they're working with to gather the documents regarding the program. An addendum, which is what's part of the resolution on the agenda, which is an amendment to the MediCount contract in relation to the ASPP program, as well as a template pre-filled with our information that we also have to provide extra information on, like our operating expenses for EMS.
Is there a deadline on this?
I tried asking and they didn't respond, but it sounds like it's probably coming up because it is part of, so what they're doing is they're gathering all this information and then they're gonna give this to Medicaid to present for the state's budgeting process. So, but they didn't give a deadline. So what the resolution is to
Yeah, this is the
As-
first I've heard of this.
Yeah, this just came in, Friday morning, I want to say. That's why I'm surprised Paul was able to get back a resolution so quickly. So
Didn't Paul have anything?
he didn't have any extra like questions or concerns about it.
The
So
way it sounds, it's just providing that gap protection, so to speak.
I think it's,
If they deem it necessary.
yeah,
Is it coming from Medicaid directly? Or what group is it coming from?
this public consulting group, I think, is what's working on, the gathering of all the information, and they're the ones that have all the information on it that's going to Medicaid. Are you talking about the funding itself or?
How are they
Sounds
gonna-
like some
It
lobby.
would depend on if the state,
That's what I mean.
approves it or not. So I think once, if it's approved, there'll probably be more information on that, so.
Guess it doesn't hurt.
You need a motion for this, or you want to send it back to, safety or something? That, to me, it doesn't make a difference because it sounds like it's going to
Sounds like
to our billing company, so.
And there might be additional, I don't want to say training videos, but, videos of information that they'll probably send
Said
out as
sent
they
you a
have.
slideshow or something?
Yeah, it should, did I put it? I don't know if I put it in the council meeting folder or not.
See it.
No, I'll forward the email to everybody that way. It's got the slide and then that document that, plus the addendum.
Do we need a motion to suspend the rules?
Yeah, is there any other discussion on it? Okay, so yeah, motion to suspend the rules.
So moved.
Second,
Dean, I got Dean.
oh, Dean, okay, sorry. Mr. Warner,
Yes.
Mr. Babcock,
Yes.
Mr. Marvel.
Yes.
Ms. Susser,
Yes.
Mr. Easterwood.
Yes.
Ms. Klikowski.
Yes.
And motion to approve resolution 2024-18 as an emergency.
So moved.
Second. Did I ever read the title? I'm sorry. As a resolution authorizing the fiscal officer to sign an addendum to the village's EMS billing agreement declaring an emergency. So we had a motion
I got Dina's.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Has everyone had a chance to review the bills? We have a motion to pay the bills.
So moved.
A second.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Bills are paid. Any further discussion on Walnut Street? I think we have figured that one out.
Not for me.
Okay. Mr. Bowler, thanks for joining us. Anything for council?
Well, I just had free time tonight. I
Nice.
just wanted to come down and educate myself.
Awesome.
We won't charge you for the education.
Mr. Head?
I kind of fit into the same category, although, if you have some time after the meeting, there is something I'd like to talk to you about.
Sure.
No, over there. Mr. Dallas, anything for council, sir? Mr. Patel, anything for council?
Hey, can I jump back in? Sorry, I couldn't get off
Sure.
you. Yeah, just wonder if you had any updates on the grant writer.
Yes,
She has presented a proposal of grants,
yep,
and we are meeting with her, me, Stephanie, and Jeremy. I guess it's open to any council member as well, to kind of go over that one more time before presenting it to council.
And what kind of grant? What is that pertaining to?
I believe it's just her,
She's gonna I think review the list.
I think she's gonna review the list that she has. of possible
so-
grants and funding
so
options.
she's identified, she's now taken our list of priorities and turned that into a list of actual grants. And now wants some time to initially present that to Weston,
The meeting will be Thursday at noon.
Thursday at noon.
Here? Yeah, well, she knows
She'll do it virtual, but I'll set up
maybe at home too.
I'll set up a thing for those that do want to come in
So,
here.
so yeah, Ron, I mean, and obviously that'll go back to that committee that's working on that, and that will then go back to council. So, you'll be hearing quite a bit about the progress there.
Okay, would it be possible that you have published some kind of list that you have presented as your priority list?
I believe at the next meeting, we'll be presenting it to council, I'm hoping.
But that's at noon on a weekday?
No, at the next, at noon, we're gonna go over what she has. And then,
Let me get this right. Sorry, I just want to make sure I understand. Are you talking about the document that shows the priorities?
Yeah, that you would have presented to her for her to investigate.
that was based on all the discussions she had with council members and board members when she was here.
Yeah, we can,
And community members.
I mean, that can be shared. That was, I think, presented in last council meeting as a document.
I think it was the one that I was in attendance. She kind of went over
So maybe
that with
the
us.
one right before that, is that one? Mr. Dallas, I'll send you that document.
Oh, that'd be great. I appreciate that. Thanks.
Yep.
May I
Sure.
contribute? I think writing up that list is a real good thing, because a year from now, you can look back and say, okay, that's what our goals were then. You know, where would we stand now? What have we accomplished? What do we want to amend and what do we want to drop? So.
Yeah,
It's suitable, and making it public will help everybody.
absolutely.
To understand.
Yeah, kudos to Craig. He put that document together. It's a great overview of everything we've been talking about. Mrs. Patel, anything for council?
No, I'm good. Thank you.
Okay, Mr. Patel.
Hey, I was just wondering if zoning@westernohio.org is still a good email for Mr. Taylor.
Yes.
Okay, because
That works, or ken@westonohio.org.
Okay, because I sent an email out last week and I have not heard anything.
Okay, yeah, you could try sending it to ken@westonohio.org, but we'll look in to make sure that alias is working.
All right, thank you so much.
Yep. All right, awesome. We have addressed our citizens, we have paid the bills, and we have talked about all the things. So, we adjourned.